Welcome to this episode of the Edge Whitetails. Thanks so much for tuning in. We got a good one for you today. We're going to talk about frost seeding, Clover Plus. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to this episode of the Edge Whitetails. It's a beautiful day in northeast Iowa here, March 14th, and it's time to frost seed down here in the land. What I'm planning to do this year is every plot I got, all told, I think when it comes to the plots like right in the hunting ground, we're close to 2 acres. And my plan this year is to overseed everything with clover right now, as a cover crop on some of the places where I'm going to end up ultimately putting biologic winter bulb, sugar beets, all your brassicas like that come fall, come August. I plan to have everything overseeded with clover. As you know, I'm in the river bottom. That clover can hold up to some flooding, which, I mean, you never know when that can happen in the spring. And I just feel like it'll be a good cover crop, good weed control, and then as I come in August, the areas that I will leave a bunch in clover with that biologic clover and chicory, but I'll turn up some of the other areas to put turnips in. But this overall is going to be a good cover crop, great forage through the summer. Definitely always go with, I love the biologic Clover Plus. It's got that chicory in there with the clover. It's a perennial clover, and if we can keep it, last year we got inundated with flooding through the month of June, and yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, it can handle a week underwater, sometimes even 2 weeks, but we had 3 to 4 weeks underwater last year, and for the most part it wiped it out. Not all of it, but some of it held on. If you want to look back through some of the episodes last summer, I covered that, but this is by far and away my favorite, and it's what we're going to seed everything with today in this video. I'm going to start off, I want to fertilize everything. I put down some lime a while back, and I just use simple, this comes from Blaine's Farm and Fleet, a 13-13-13 as they recommend on the biologic clover, and real cheap at, well, no fertilizer's cheap anymore, but cheap as you can get for fertilizer. Estate brand, no affiliation to the channel, but get it at Blaine's Farm and Fleet, 13-13-13, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fertilize everything first, and then typically when you frost seed, you just go over the ground, and that freeze-thaw cycle helps the seed fall in. Well, we've been warm enough lately that the soil is pretty loose right now on the top. I'm going to go ahead and run the disc over everything, as we, I didn't get a chance to do that after the flood last year, and it's pretty compact. So I'm going to run the disc over everything. After I fertilize, I'm going to fertilize, run the disc over. That'll help mix all the fertilizer in, and then we'll seed over the top. Supposed to get a rain tonight, possibility of some storms. Hopefully they're just kind of overzealous on that. But we're supposed to get a rain tonight. That'll help beat that seed in, and then next week is a whole bunch of freeze-thaw cycle, and it should really work that seed into the ground, and we should have, God willing, a good stand of clover this year. So stay tuned. I'm going to get to work. So I keep it really simple when it comes to the land down here. I do have a pull-behind spreader that, and I apologize for the wind if it's blowing across the lens or the microphone. I do have a pull-behind spreader, but behind the Ranger and such tight radiuses on these smaller food plots in the timber, real simple yard spreader. That's what I'm going to use to spread the fertilizer. I'll use the Gamekeeper's seed spreader with all the different settings for the different mossy oak biologic seed. You can get that at biologic.com. I'll use that for all the seed spreading today. So fertilizer with the push and seed spreading with the Gamekeeper's seed spreader. So gonna get started here with the fertilizer. The nice thing with that bag of Estate, I think that's a 36-pound bag, and it'll fill that hopper just to the top. And you can do one, you know just how much you've used. You can do one bag in a hopper, see how far you get, do another bag. So, gonna get at it. All right, so that completes 2 bags of fertilizer. And the cool part is it's just tacky enough on the ground here that I could see the tracks where I had went with the spreader. So it was pretty cool. I'd come up, down, I had a marker, come down about the swath that it was spreading, and 2 bags across everything we have in the main, what we call the main food plots. So the reason I do the fertilizer before I disc is when you got a little bit of a hard ground, this thing rolls a lot easier. I've made the mistake before of disking it up and then trying to fertilize it, because then I thought maybe I'd disc it again, and trying to walk that through the worked up ground is a real pain in the butt. So got it all fertilized. I have a couple stumps that I need to clear out before I disc. I'm gonna go ahead and get those cut out. I'm sure you've all seen a stump get cut before, so gonna cut them just nice and level to the ground. I'll just let that kind of rot under the ground. They were some dead ash trees that were in the middle of the food plot, which were kind of cool for scraping trees, but they're so far gone now that the whitetails didn't even scrape around them. So gonna get rid of those, get the disc hooked up, and we'll get on to that. So I've got the disc hooked up, and walk with me here. So some of our earlier viewers saw my setup last summer, but we've got a lot of new viewers since then. So I'm going to show you my setup on the disc, and it's hooked up with a drag as well. It's kind of a custom job. So I've got the disc leading, big heavy piece of steel weight on the front, long hitch that I custom made at work off of the back of the Ranger so you can get a good turning radius. And affixed to that disc is a drag section right behind it, fully adjustable, chains to help keep it upright, and overall it works pretty good. As you can see, I'm just going to put a light disc on all of the food plot here, and it'll help put that fertilizer in the soil. It's going to give something for the seed to stick to, and then we get a rain tonight, it's going to push that in. A little bit of freeze thaw action the next week or two, and we should be in business here with this clover. One thing I noticed while I was fertilizing is we're already starting to get a little green up on the clover that's left in there. I did seed this with some clover last August, so some of that's still sitting here and will arrive as well, and this here is going to help thicken it up. Believe it or not, the disking is not going to hurt that clover too much. That's already emerging, and I'm excited. We're going to get this thing knocked out, and I'll show you the finished product from disking, and then we'll get this seeded and we'll finish this video up. Stay tuned. I'm going to get to work here, turn the tunes on in the Ranger, and just do a little driving around on this windy Friday in the land in Northeast Iowa. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Well, it seems like a welcome back. You just, you guys get the ease of just watching all the highlights here. I have been discing for probably, I don't know, it's almost noon now, so it's been a while, let's just say that. Had a little bit of trouble with my hitch, but we'll get that straightened out at work sometime this week. But I got everything that I needed to get disced up. I've got what you just saw, the main plots. There's another small one just to the south of this plot. I got that disced up, and then I just got back from disking the south plot. What is the actual south plot? So everything disced up real well. As you can see, just a nice light disc. You can even see a couple specks of clover in there yet. That's already sprouting. And we disced that fertilizer in. The other cool part is you see all the deer droppings and the turkey droppings from being around the feeder, and that's all mixed into the soil too. That's just natural fertilizer, all hand in hand. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get this seeded. I'm gonna show you what we have going as far as the seed. Now naturally, like I talked about at the beginning, Clover Plus, it has mixture of clovers and chicory, and we've got the soil prepared. I've got a 1 pound bag here, which would go for an acre, as you can see, and we got a little less than an acre here, but that's okay. I want to seed it a little heavy. And the other cool part about having this Gamekeeper spreader, when you buy the biologic products, you can just look on the bottom of your Gamekeeper spreader. Now, as you can see here, if you can see that very well, 25 pound spreader. We're going to be spreading Clover Plus, spreader width 18 feet to 22 feet. We're going to set it at 2. Real easy, and then it tells you per acre how much should go down. Mossy Oak Biologic, the Gamekeeper bag seeder, makes everything really simple for you. And honestly, that's what I like, is simplicity. I don't like fighting stuff, much like my hitch just a little while ago. All in all, this is going to be a really good project. Get a little bit of rain tonight. I feel like this is going to be pretty rock star. I'll spare you the spreading. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to set my Gamekeeper spreader at 2. It's a little windy today. I'm a little nervous about that because that Clover Plus seed is really small. But I think we'll be all right, and we'll get this down. And we're going to wrap this up today, March 14th. Beautiful day. It's supposed to actually hit 78 degrees today on March 14th. And then possibly some storms tonight. But I'll take the rain, let that beat that seed right into the soil. And because with the Clover Plus, before I go, I want to add that I'm not going to drag this. I'm not going to drive over it or anything. I'm going to let the seed sit on the soil and naturally let that rain pound it in, and the frost thaw freeze method into this soil. So that Clover Plus is so fine. If you drag it, you risk the chance of getting it too deep, and then it's not gonna germinate well, and you're just gonna have a mess. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this up now. Like I said, March 14th, frost seeding-ish, more like preparing the soil and seeding it. So, for the Edge Whitetails, I'm Eric Johnston. If you have not done so, hit that subscribe button. We would ever so appreciate it. We would like to build the channel even bigger. However, we're going to keep bringing them to you because it's a lot of fun. So until next time, get outdoors.